joined by UFC welterweight Daniel Rodriguez. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press.
Hey, Daniel. I want to start off. Are you from the Antelope Valley? I know you're a SoCal guy and you post around it, but I want to know if you're from around here.
From the Antelope Valley? Nah, man. I got a lot of family that lives out in Palmdale. I'm always out there. I actually live out there a couple years early in my career. But yeah, I'm over there all the time.
How did you first get involved in mixed martial arts?
I've always been a fan of it, man. I grew up a fan of boxing, and kind of boxing kind of died down. And I started leaning more towards mixed martial arts, and actually, I had always wanted to train mixed martial arts. Up until I received a gift with a gym membership, actually, and I've been killing it ever since, man.
Now, we know that prior to coming to the UFC, you were doing your thing, Combate, Smash Global, and other places. How would you describe your career leading up to Contender Series and just how that prepared you for the big show?
Yeah, it's kind of like a build up to every fight was kind of just improving, constant improvements and learning, whether it was win or lose. Fortunately, I've been on the winning side of about 90-something% of my fights. I only have one loss, but I always take something out of every win, whether it's a win or a loss. Every fight, I have something different to learn for myself. So I take every experience back to camp and we work on, adjusting and improving those areas that need improvement.
Just two final ones. The first, you know what? Can you just talk about what it's like? Because you go from the local shows, the smaller shows, and now you're on UFC, your fights are on ESPN, all the big websites are talking to you, and they got the scrums. What's that like to go from that smaller level to the big one?
I'm just soaking it all in, man. I kind of always believed in myself. I always knew I'd get here. And now I'm here, man, and I got another fight ahead of me, good fight, and it's just an amazing experience, just the whole everything, all up and down, just the whole experience of being in the UFC, from even back home to everything going on here, and I'm just soaking it all in, man, and just making the best of it. And just staying focused and keeping my eye on the prize, man.
To close it out, you win this one, you'll be 3-0 in the UFC. There's obviously a lot of guys in your weight class, ranked and unranked, but you get this one. Have you thought about what you're looking for next? Are you looking to try to get that top 15, or you're just looking to take on the best fights possible?
Yeah, man, I just want to fight. My whole career, I've always wanted to just to fight consistently. Right now at my age, I'm 33. I feel like I'm in my prime. I'm ready to fight anyone. And I just want to continue to climb up the ranks and take every fight. If the UFC feels I'm ready for a ranked opponent after this fight, then I'm more than willing to fight. If they wanted me to fight anybody, I'm gonna fight. So that's really just always been the type of person I am, even before I even started mixed martial arts. I just like to fight.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks.
Our next question is from Rodney James Edgar with MMAsoldier.net.
Hey, what's going on, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, hear you, man. What's up?
Cool. Good to see you back, man. Quick turnaround, it seems like.
Yeah, it's been a busy year.
That's a good thing, man, especially in this crazy year. So first, let me ask you this, because we're seeing a repeat occurrence or appearances, I should say, of Contender Series, season 3 guys such as yourself fighting in Apex. And I know that doing it the first time, it's a little, intimidating because it's weird, right? It's a totally different scene. But now you're so used to it. I wonder, though, knowing that you are going into the smaller cage and knowing exactly what the process is going to be like at the venue, because it varies, at every venue, right? Has that adjusted your training camp in any way? Like, you guys train more in, for this close quarters, that kind of thing?
No, man. It's been pretty similar for this fight camp. Actually made a few adjustments, but nothing that has to do with the size of the cage. Um, yeah, for the most part, we've just been sticking to the same routines that we normally do. I'm actually this will be my third time fighting in at the Apex Center, and yeah, that's it. It to me, it reminds me a lot of sparring. To be honest, it reminds me a lot like sparring. It's like real quiet. All I can hear is my coaches. You know, I get the same feeling when I come into like a new gym to spar. You know, so it's really not much of a difference to me.
Well, hopefully you don't beat up your training partners as bad as you do the people in the Apex cage. And
I can't make no promises, man. It gets rough in there. Actually, you know, most times training is a lot harder than the actual fight. You know, so you know, up until this point, the hard part is you know training and making weight. The fight is it's just fun for me. You know.
Good attitude. So yeah, just one more question pertaining to the way that we conduct business now in 2020 during this pandemic in all facets of life. I wonder, because I haven't been to the gym in months, man. I haven't trained. I don't know really what's going on in there. So tell me, what has training camp been like?
Training camp with this, you know, past few training camps that I've been going through with during the pandemic hasn't changed much, man. I still work with the same people. You know, the gyms. Fortunately, the gyms that I go to are like smaller gyms, so it's more of the big corporate gyms are the ones that shut down. But you know, I still go to like 4 different gyms, and I still get the same amount of work. It's just you know a lot more secretive and you know like little secret ninja training, bro. That's what I call it. I call it a secret ninja training when we have these like secret training sessions, not really no one knows about, but you know we still have a good group of solid dudes there, and the pandemic hasn't affected my training in any way.
Well, see, I'm an amateur, so that's probably why I never get those invites. Thanks, man. I can't wait to see you fight.
Awesome. Thank you.
Our next question is from Gabriel Pengelingen with Dojo Drifter.
Hey, Daniel, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, how you doing?
Hey, brother, hope you're doing good. Yeah, so it's a quick turnaround for you. How does it feel to be back so soon? It's only been a couple of months since your last fight.
Feels good, man. I feel great. Staying active is always something I've wanted to do in my career, and it's even better than I'm staying so active in the UFC. It's my third fight this year for the UFC. You know, I wouldn't doubt that after this, you know, I'll get another fight before the year ends and run out my contract in 1 year. You know, I told people a long time ago, you know, like 2 years ago, 2020 is my year, you know, and just so happened it just happened, man. I think it's just lining up for me, and it's just great feeling.
Yeah, and as your career progresses, do you see yourself becoming more of like Cowboy Cerrone in the sense that he's fighting several times in a year, you know, more than the average fighter? Do you see that being something that you'll do as well?
Yeah, man. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Cowboy, you know, maybe I picked up, you know, I picked up his, you know, his saying, anytime, anyone, anywhere. Really, that's how I've been, except, you know, I'm from California, you know, but learned a lot from Cowboy, man. And fighting consistently is definitely something that I'm willing to do. I don't want to take no time off. You know, I'm here to fight. You know, I'm here to as long as I'm healthy. You know, as long as I'm healthy and injury free, I'm gonna you know continue to fight and stay healthy and work hard. You know, all year round.
Yeah, and as you come up the rankings and as the fans get to know you, how do you want fans to know you? Like, do you want them to know you as like the knockout artist, the slugger? How would you like to be remembered by the fans?
You know, I want them to just know me as you know that Mexican fighter from LA that just comes out to fight. You know, I'm at Los Angeles, born and raised, and you know, Latino background. You know, we just come out to fight, man. We got a whole bunch of heart, and you know, coming out swinging.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you're a proud LA LA Lakers fan. In the last fight, you had that mouthpiece honoring the late great Kobe Bryant. Will you be doing that again this fight?
Oh, of course, man. I'm Lakered out. It's playoffs right now too. Yesterday I had Lakers everything: Lakers shoes, Lakers socks, Lakers shorts, the Kobe jersey, Lakers hat. Actually, right before we came and did this interview, I just bought a LeBron James jersey at the Nike store. I'm just
Wild,
Lakered
wild.
out. Same thing with the
And do you
Dodgers,
have?
man.
Oh, okay, awesome, awesome. Do you have any Laker tattoos? I see that some of the hardcores have that.
Yeah, I actually do have a Laker tattoo on my ankle.
Oh, so what does it say on your?
Oh, it's the Lakers L. Let me get up and show you. You see me? Yeah, so
Yeah.
I got that Lakers L right there.
Oh,
You know,
okay, cool, awesome.
proud,
Nice here.
proud Lakers fan.
Nice. And lastly, for me, you think the Lakers are gonna take it this year? To
Of
make it
course,
to the
man.
finals?
Of course. I made a bet
Of
with
course.
the
Take on the
this
finals.
dude yesterday. He's like, hey, if the Raptors make it farther than the Lakers in the playoffs, uh one of us gotta get a tattoo of either one of either team. I might I might not stick to that, but it might be I might be able to hide it if the Lakers don't make it though. I might be able to hide it somewhere. I got a lot of tattoos, a lot of space to fill. But I doubt it, man. The Raptors ain't making it farther than the Lakers this year. It's crazy. That's why I took the bet.
Well, best of luck to them, and best of luck to you this weekend, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you.
All right, cool.
We're now joined by UFC light heavyweight Marcin Prachnio. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Stateside Press.
Hello, Marcin. It's been a big year for Polish MMA fighters. Joanna had a big fight, and now Jan Blachowicz is fighting for the title. What does it mean to you to be a part of that group?
Hi. Yeah, thank you. It's good to be that kind of group, and always I'm happy when my colleagues getting well, and this is good for a Polish MMA, of course, and that's getting bigger and bigger because then gonna hear in the news about it, so people gonna know what is MMA, what is mixed martial arts.
How would you say the sport has grown back in Poland? You know, obviously having big name fighters in big fights helps a lot, but how would you say it's grown over the last few years?
Yeah, it's really popular. It's getting really popular. People want to do MMA, grappling a lot. MMA is getting common that people don't want to go only to the gym and do fitness. They want to do something else and more to get some new skills. And I think is important, you know, to get that knowledge. Is not only good to do the fitness and to watch how your muscles growing, but to learn something what can be useful for you.
I know your last two fights didn't go your way. Just when you go back to the gym, can you talk about what you learned from those fights to get better as a fighter?
Yes, of course. All the time you win or you learn. So that's to learn give me a lot of knowledge what I have to do in the future to be better fighter, and I hope I can show it in this fight. But yeah.
You're fighting Mike Rodriguez. What does he bring that makes him a dangerous opponent?
Yes, his kicks, his knees. I watch his fights, and he's dangerous stand-up fighter. Yeah, he's a southpaw that is also unorthodox. Yeah, that's make the change. Maybe why he win his fights as well. Yeah.
Got it. Last question. What would it mean to you? You know, obviously you did good in one championship, but what would it mean personally to get that first UFC victory?
Yeah, it's something for I was waiting for a long time. You know, yeah, in one championship was I did it well, and everything was good. And when I came to UFC, I want to show up in a good way, and maybe that's why that went wrong, you know. But yeah, it is what it is, and I hope and I train for it. I sweat for it to make it all better now. Let's see what it's gonna be on Sunday evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Marcin.
Oh, Saturday.
Our next question is from Gabriel Pengelingen with Dojo Drifter.
Hello, Marcin. How you doing?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. So it's been some time since your last fight. It's been a 2-year period. So what has the last 2 years been like for you? What have you been working on?
Oh, last 2 years it was pretty pity for me because first I had the injury after the fight, and after that I had another injury. So it was like at least 1 year of injuries. And then I came back to training. Of course, in the time when I had injuries, I trained as well, but was not all the training on the mat. So I did everything to get better and better, and I can go back to the mat. So it was really tough years for me. I learned a lot from that. For sure, I learned the patient, and I hope I will show it in this fight. Yeah, it was. I was working on everything after the injury, you know, after my my body, my core, my technique, mental also. So everything together. It's not one thing. You have to become better fighter all the time. And also after my two fights, if I don't learn something new now, that I want to learn it never, maybe, you know. So I think I get the point what was needed in the last two fights, and let's see what it's gonna be now.
Yeah, and after that, the rough start you've had down at the UFC, do you feel like your back is against the wall? Is there a bit of pressure or desperation here going into your third fight?
You know, I don't feel any pressure anymore. So maybe in the last two fights I feel pressure. That's why I want to show up in a good way, and that went in not my way. But that time I don't give any pressure to myself. It will be what it will be. I'm ready for everything. I'm prepared 100%, you know, and I'm just happy. I'm here again. I can fight, and this is maybe a little bit different because the last two fights I feel a little bit stressed, but now I feel only happy that I'm here again and I gonna fight. So it's like that.
Hmm. Yeah, and being a fighter, it's very difficult, especially with all the injuries you've had to deal with. So, what has kept you motivated throughout this whole process?
Yeah, what is keeping motivated? Yeah, yeah, it's something in you. You have to have something to motivate yourself. Your goals, maybe your ambitions, your goals. You know what I give to myself. Uh, Many years ago, I give myself some goals, and I want to achieve it, you know. And I'm 20 years in the martial sports now, so it's many years, and it's like it would be difficult to leave it like that because I lose once or twice. So yeah, that keep me motivated, you know. I work really hard for it, and I do my best all the time. Maybe last two fights didn't show it, but you never see it. You never see the thing what is before the fight. You only see the fight in TV, and it is easy to watch it. You know.
Yeah, well, we hope that motivation carries you to victory this weekend. Best of luck, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Our last question is from Rodney James Edgar with MMAsoldier.net.
Hey, what's going on, man? First and foremost, where did you do your camp? Are you still based out of the Netherlands for your fight camps?
Can you repeat, please?
Where did you do your fight camp for this fight?
Yeah, I spar a lot. I did many technique. I watched the videos of my opponent. You know, I prepare everything for him. So was more technical. Sparring also we use all the time the person who is similar to my opponent. So was a lot to what it was a lot to learn. But I think we did it a really great job, and we work also on the defense now more. So I hope it will be all good now. You know.
Where is the camp, the team located?
We did it in Holland. We did the training camp in Holland in Deventer. This time we stayed there all the time before I moved from Poland to Holland and back and forward. And I think that was also maybe some problem. But that time we decided to stay always in Holland. We use the sparring partners what we had here. Also, it's not that easy time now. It's Corona time, and the gyms at the beginning was closed, so we had to struggle a little bit. But end of the day was everything perfect, because when the fight was announced, the gyms get open, so we can train normal in the gym, and we get more sparring partners. Yeah, mostly we was focused on the sparring, on the technique, you know, and my physical is good, always was good. I train for so many years already. It's not like I'm here for 2 years. It's 20 years in the sport already.
I know right now with the pandemic, it's very difficult to travel, especially overseas. So I wonder, how soon did you come to the United States to make sure that everything went smoothly?
Yeah, we came Sunday, just a week before fight. but there was a lot of paperwork before we could came here. It was much more than normal. So, and always you have to wear also the mask everywhere. And yeah, it was pretty difficult, but you can do everything if you need it.
Here you are. I have to ask an obligatory Apex question. This is your first time at the Apex. It's going to be your first time fighting. It's going to be a little bit, different with no audience. So first of all, what do you think about the facility? Because it's adjacent to the Performance Institute, another world-class facility. What do you think about those places?
So we're just gonna be there first time today because of the Corona restricted. We couldn't come there before because of the test, everything, and we came in the last few days, 3 days ago or something. So yeah, we're gonna be there first time today. So I don't know, but I heard really good things about it. I hope it will be like I heard about it. But here also we have a really good staff, the catering with the food, it's all good with supplements as well. So it's perfect, it's we get all we need.
Yeah. Just one more from me. So we talked about earlier the long layoff. I wonder, how does a prize fighter earn their living when you are not able to fight?
What do you mean?
Like how do you have to work a regular job when you're not fighting?
No, I have some saving money, and yeah, I just live from the saving money. It's like that, yeah, if I don't have any saving, then I have to go to work, and then would be more difficult. But yeah, I did some, so it was more easy for me to stay at that time, no working, and I could be focused on the fighting.
Good, great. Well, we look forward to seeing you in there. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all we have for you today, Marcin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're live.
We are now joined by UFC light heavyweight Ovince Preux. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Stateside Press.
Hey, OSP. How are you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. So the obvious question, you're going back down to light heavyweight. Can you just talk about what went into the decision to go back down?
I mean, you know, the heavyweight thing was almost like a trial type of deal. But I mean, if another fight presents itself and it's a really good matchup, I'll definitely move back up to heavyweight. But you know, my weight class has always been light heavyweight, so just getting back down felt good. I mean, the weight cutting part is always tough, but you know, other than that, you know, just fighting people your size is always good.
Can you talk about the change-up in opponent and how you've prepared for Alonzo Menifield on short notice?
I tend to do better with short notice fights, but it's not the first time it happened. It won't be the last time it happened. It happened to me more times than I can think of, but you know, I think about it as like, you know, I spend all this time actually training, getting ready for a fight, and either I can be like, okay, I'll just wait, or I can just jump in there. And I tend to do better when I actually jump in there.
You were part of that first run of events in Jacksonville. Is there anything you brought with you this time around to make it easier now that you know what to expect during the process of fight week in the hotel?
Nothing necessarily, just like, you know, there's a lot of different things that happen, although a lot of unexpected things that happen. And I'm just prepared for that. And anything that happens, I just kind of flow with it. I don't try to fight it. I don't try to do anything. I just kind of get in the flow with it, because a lot of those situations are out of your hand. And me personally, like Jacksonville, there was so much going on. Like I just kind of backed up and be, hey, where do I need to be? All I need to find out, all I need to know is where do I need to be and who am I fighting, and I'm good to go.
Final question. There's not too many big guys who are out there pulling off signature submissions. I just wanted your opinion. Who do you think is better at pulling off their signature move? You with the Von Flue choke, or Alexei Oleinik with his Ezekiel?
I got more finishes with the Von Flue. Hey.
Gotcha. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I got more finishes than he does in the UFC with it. So I mean, he's good with that. What is it again? Like Ezekiel. So he's actually kind of slick with it. So, but it's cool. But I definitely have more finishes than he does in the UFC.
Gotcha. Thank you, OSP.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Gabriel Pengalangan with Dojo Drifter.
What's up, OSP? So your opponent is relatively a newcomer. You have almost 4 times as many fights as he does. So do you think that overall experience of yours will be a huge advantage in this fight?
Excuse me? Can you repeat that?
Well, you have almost 4 times as many fights as your opponent this weekend. Do you think that experience of yours is a big advantage?
Experience definitely is a big advantage. I mean, he's still fairly young in the game, and he took an opportunity, he wanted to step up. So, and I've been around for a while, so I kind of know what to expect. So, experience definitely plays a lot.
Yeah, and it seems that whenever you win, there's a performance of the night bonus waiting for you after. But you've been alternating wins and losses lately. Has it been frustrating, trying to find that consistency?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
You've been alternating wins and losses. Has it been frustrating that you haven't been able to win as consistently?
I would say it's been a little frustrating, but a lot of that came from my part, not taking. I wouldn't say not listening, but capitalizing on what I need to do. Like a lot of times you know what you need to do, but instead of actually biting on it, I'll kind of hesitate for a quick second. But I mean, I think I got that pretty much fixed in the works now. So I'm definitely in a place now where how I feel right now, how I'm going about things is going to be a lot better for me and my continuing career throughout in the UFC.
Okay, and lastly for me, there's been a lot of movement at the top of the division lately. Yeah, but it's safe to say that you're always just a win or two away from being in that title conversation. Would you agree with that sentiment?
I saw that this past week, but right now I'm not thinking about that. After this fight, I could probably start kind of figuring out what's going on and whatnot. But until right now, I'm not thinking about it. It's just, I gotta fight Saturday, and that's what I'm shooting for right now.
All right. Thank you very much. Best of luck, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Augusto Miesque with Somos MMA.
Ovince, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Okay, well, we can see that you are in your room, so I want to ask you, what do you do to kill time in there during the quarantine process?
Repeat that again?
Yes, what do you do to kill time in there, in your room?
Oh, me personally, I sleep. So I love to sleep, so that's my recovery time. So sleep, I'm sure trainer's going to put on a movie or something, so that's pretty much what I do.
Okay, and talking about the fight, well, you're facing Alonzo Menifield. We all know he has heavy hands, but you not only have knockout power, but also a great submission game. So where would you like the fight to take place on Saturday?
Personally, I don't care. As long as I get my hand raised at the end of the night, Alonzo definitely has knockout power. I have knockout power in my hands and feet, and my submission game is very unorthodox. So I think anywhere can play out for me because I can hit you from pretty much anywhere, and if the fight goes on the ground, I can submit you from probably anywhere.
Okay, and now that you came back to the light heavyweight division, are you planning to stay here, or we could see you fighting in heavyweight again?
There's a possibility of me going back up to heavyweight. If the fight presents itself, the fight is a really good fight, I'll definitely take it. But other than that, light heavyweight, it is my weight class, and I love being down here.
Okay, and my last question. A few days ago, John Jones vacated his title, and there's a lot of speculation about him moving to heavyweight. According to your experience, how do you think he could do there?
As long as he moves just like he usually do, he should do good. The thing about the heavyweight, they definitely got a lot more power, but their cardio is not that up. So it's different, and it's a lot harder to move a bigger body too. But personally, he should do good. But if you fight somebody like Stipe, who has a lot of power, who can do a lot of damage, he might get in trouble. Or if you fight somebody that looks like Francis Ngannou, it becomes a factor of size and power. So.
Okay, thank you very much, OSP. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Our last question is from Rodney James Edgar with MMAsoldier.net.
Hey, OSP, what's going on, man? we talked earlier about you having, a very respectable amount of submissions. And but I think it was mistakenly called the Von Flue choke, but it's been rebranded as the St. Preux choke or the Von Preux choke. So it's pretty much your signature thing now. But I didn't realize you had so many performances of the night. I think for you, stylistically, this matchup is really perfect for that because, like we said, this is a young guy who also has an NCAA linebacker background like you. Did you know that about him?
Oh yeah, I know. They said he played for Texas A&M.
Commerce.
I forget, but he played Commerce, and then he played a couple years of arena football. So just from playing ball, I know he got strong hips. So you can tell with that. He's really strong and durable and whatnot. But I come from that background too, so I know.
I feel like he's going to come out. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like he's going to come out super aggressive, try to take your head off. That's just my, thoughts. Obviously, you and your coaches have your own game plan, but do you feel like a brawling style is actually the worst kind of matchup or do you feel it's a good or a bad matchup for you? Because I feel like a brawler is not a good approach to take with OSP.
I mean, it's different. A lot of times when you have guys that brawl and stuff, you typically don't know what they're going to do because they don't really know what they're going to do. They swing through fences. And me, I just like to sit back and kind of read people, but I'm also really good at countering too. So that works out in my favor. Because with brawling, you tend to overcommit. When you tend to overcommit, it puts you out of position, and that's when you get in trouble.
So yeah, one more just follow up about heavyweight. Somebody mentioned earlier that you've always stayed very relevant in the light heavyweight rankings. But I wonder, if you wanted to make a move to heavyweight, that could affect your standing in the ranking insofar as you could be removed from light heavyweight and placed into heavyweight. So if those opportunities do come, like you said, good ones that you look forward to, would you consider just making a permanent move there and maybe making a run for the title in heavyweight?
I mean, to be honest, like I can technically do that both weight classes. The way my body works, the way I feel right now, I can technically do that in both weight classes. Like I said, to me, it's more the opportunity if opportunity presents itself. Because at the end of the day, when you fight in heavyweights or whatnot, it's one of them things. It was my first time going up there, and to be honest, I wish I would have stayed in the pocket a little longer, a little more actually, because I dropped him twice. I dropped Menifield twice, and I thought about it. I was like, okay, I have enough. I have the power that I can be in heavyweight, because I don't think anybody in the heavyweight division has ever dropped him before.
Hey man, I look forward to it. OSP, you always put on a great show. Good luck.
Thank you.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you.
Excuse me?
That was all for us. Thank you.
Okay.
We are now joined by UFC women's flyweight Mariya Agapova. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Stateside Press.
Hello, Mariya. How are you?
Hello, good, and you?
I'm doing very good. Thank you for asking. You had quite the impressive UFC debut, but we didn't get to talk to you after the fight. Can you go back for us and talk about what it was like to get that big victory and then go home to celebrate it?
Oh, it was so nice. I fixed all my problems, what I have, and now I have normal life that I never have. It's nice. Everything's going better and better. now everything good. After my win, everything nice and sweet.
You've now been through the process of being quarantined in the hotel, the getting tested, there's no fans. Are you doing anything different this time now that you have the experience of doing it once?
Oh yeah, it was different because last time when we come in here, we was available to go Vegas everywhere, but now they shot us in hotel, and after fight we know not available go out too. Like now it's more hard, more different, but it's okay. Now at least couple days we can have a fun and that's it. Shot.
Are you someone that likes to get out and just relax outside during fight week so you're not too focused on it?
Oh, like I just fight for my pleasure, you know. I'm not like sitting in hotel and scared. No, I like do whatever I just get pleasure from life. I'm in Vegas here, a lot of interesting things. I go watch it. After I will cut weight, go and fight. Like just get pleasure, enjoy, not really get scared about it. Like it's how I change after Dana White Contenders. Because on Dana White Contenders I was scared. I was like this. But not now. Now I only get pleasure for what I'm doing.
I understand. You're fighting Shana Dobson. She's hitting, she's in a rough part of her career with the 3 losses. Do you feel, I guess, how do you prepare for somebody who you know has so much motivation because you know she does not want to lose one more?
Yeah, sure. She not will lose one more. She will be fight. Like, it was so bad because if she lost, yeah. I hope she lost contract, or I not hope, I guess she lost contract if she lost, like Dana White tell no, and she understand it, and I'm sure she will be fight tough, and I guess it will be not easy, but we will see.
My final question, there's not too many UFC fighters from Kazakhstan. What does it mean to you to represent your country on a big stage like the UFC?
Oh, it's so nice. I'm very glad that finally somebody from Kazakhstan and UFC and Kazakhstani guys, they can cheer for somebody from their country. And especially women, no one woman in UFC from Kazakhstan, and now it's me. Yeah. And people can cheering for me, like, hello Kazakhstan, hello my country.
Did you find that there were a lot of fans, responding well when you went back home?
Yeah, they will be very glad to see me, I guess.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you too.
Our next question is from Gabriel Pengelangen with Dojo Drifter.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, good, and you?
I'm doing good. So this isn't your first time fighting at the Apex with no crowd. How does it feel to be back so soon?
It will be with Sotsum. Oh, sorry, I don't understand the question. Sorry.
No, how does it feel to be back?
So quickly. Yeah, it's okay. I used to do it like when I only come into America. I do Dana White Contenders after Invicta fights, like after 1 month. Like if I available to fight, I will do it. Just after my Invicta fights, like car hit me, I was kicked in my eyes, like a lot of shit happens. It's because I can't fight so long. But usually I fight pretty much because I like it. Because I even not get tired because I like what I'm doing. It's even not hard work for me. It's pleasure. I get pleasure for everything that I do.
Yeah, and I saw on your social media that you're training Krav Maga. How long have you been training that? And do you apply any of those techniques in your MMA fights?
Yeah, I think some Krav Maga 100% helped me. Because a lot of things that people using in Krav Maga, but it's never teach it to MMA gym. I don't know why this thing's legal. And yes, I will use it.
And I noticed that you have a very interesting tattoo on your chest. Is that a wolf with wings and boxing gloves?
Yeah, it's
so what's the story behind that?
It's both boxing gloves, but now it's swords. It's swords coming up from wolf.
And what's the idea behind that tattoo? Why did you get that one?
I realize I have very big imagination.
And is that your favorite tattoo?
What?
Is it your favorite among your tattoos?
How long? This one I get after my fight. Like these swords, I just change it. like fixed tattoo, something nice.
Okay. And you know, the welterweight division has a BMF belt held by Jorge Masvidal. Who do you think is a BMF of your division right now?
In my division, who's the best?
Yeah, the BMF, you know, the baddest fighter out there in your
I
division.
guess Valentina Shevchenko. She BMF in my weight, 100%.
And would you like to be known as a BMF of the women's flyweight division someday?
Would you want to be the BMF?
Yeah, it takes time, but one time I come into belt, and I don't know who will get it belt, but I take it one time. It takes time, but I will.
Okay, best of luck, Mariya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Ezekiel Berganzi with Super Luchas.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, good, and you?
Fine, thank you. So this is your second fight in closed doors. Are you anxious to fight in UFC in front of fans, or are you used to fight in closed locations with no public?
Oh, I really don't care. Just when it's just different because when you fight with no public, you hear everything. Hear your coaches, every punches. It sounds like this. But when public, people screaming, and you go into cage and they scream, and you just feel it. Oh, it's just different. But with people, yeah, it's kind of motivate you, but you feel pressure, like. But I guess it can affect you sometimes. People.
And do you prefer to fight with people or without people in the sport aspect? What do you prefer?
Of course, I want to fight without people, but it's not will be like this always. Like one time, people coming and I'm supposed to fight with a lot of people. It's okay. I will get it. Like, but when people watching, they screaming, and you just walking and feel this, ooh, you like frustrated.
So this is your second fight in UFC, and between them there is a few months. Do you change some aspects of your fighting game, or are you leaving the things how they are like for this fight? Do you change so much or not? Not so.
Of course, I change. I change every my fight. I grow up every time, and I get some things. My coaches teach me, and now I'm better than I was. Like every fight, I'm better than I was.
And after your first win on UFC, UFC kind of put its spotlight on you, like they love your victory in social media. A lot of people talking about that. How did you felt? Like as you say, you are the first woman from Kazakhstan being in the UFC, and now UFC puts its spotlight on you. So how did you felt at that moment?
How I feel?
Yeah.
Of course, first time I even can't believe in this. Like, wow, it's me. Oh my gosh! But now it's okay. I used to it, and I keep going. I wanna be best of the best.
Do you have a dream fight in your division? Like after this fight, who do you want to face?
Oh, I guess I would like to take revenge with Tracy Cortez. Like, it will be nice because it's only one girl who I losing. Like, I guess people wanna see it. A lot of people send me messages like, "Oh, let's go revenge. I want a revenge," and I guess it will be interesting.
Thank you very much and good luck on Saturday.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all we have for you today, Mariya. Thank you. We are now joined by number 5 UFC bantamweight Pedro Munhoz. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Stateside Press.
Hello, Pedro. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. So it's been quite a few twists and turns, to say the least. Can you describe what the experience is like to finally reach fight week for this one?
Yeah, man. This definitely has been like a crazy things happening in the worldwide right now, all over the place. So I feel very grateful to have the opportunity to fight during pandemic, and besides that, just to be a part of a main event against another former champ. So has been crazy, but at the same time, it's not.
I'm glad you brought that up. You've been in big fights before, Cody Garbrandt, Aljo, but with a guy like Frankie Edgar who held the belt and he's been at the top for a while, would you say this is the biggest one of your career?
Yes, it's definitely like one of the biggest fights of my career, but I do believe also that every single fight, it's the biggest fight of my career. For the fights that I have previous, that's the reason that I'll be able to do this fight. I have just been fighting for the last 7 years over, the UFC organization. I just fought the best fighters since my first fight. I got a 1 week notice against, a guy number 3 back then, and Robbie Fawn, Brad Jones, Brian Caraway, like great guys and tough opponents. It's just showed that, I go there and I do my job and I leave everything in the octagon. No regrets.
With Yoel Romero versus Uriah Hall off the card, now there's just even more attention. A lot of people would say they're all tuning in just to see you two fight. Is there, I guess, more pressure because there's more of a chance to really boost your name if you get a big victory?
Is a pressure if I think that way, but what I try to think, it's I do what I love. So for that, I'm very grateful for, especially through pandemic, when we see like the economy worldwide, going very bad, and me here right now, do what I love, fighting with a former champ. I think what I think is like a pressure is for people right now at home that lost their job, kids not going to school, and moms or dads, they're doing all that, taking care. Besides that, pressure is the homeless on the streets, things like that. I think that's a lot of pressure. It is a pressure. Yeah, it is a pressure. But at the end of the day, I'm doing what I love, and if I get hurt or if I don't get hurt, it's part of my job. It's fun. So it's all dependent, like the point of view.
I understand that. Are you expecting anything different from Frankie at bantamweight compared to what you've seen from him at featherweight?
Oh yeah, definitely. Faster, stronger, skills wise, he's gonna be sharper.
Final question from me. At bantamweight, there's obviously the big 3 at the top: Petr Yan, Aljo, Marlon Moraes. Who do you see coming out on top after all 3 of those guys, compete against each other?
Wow. Marlon Moraes has been a training partner of mine for the last year and a half. A guy that has a lot of capability there, a lot of skills, very strong. Aljo, super, a lot of skills as well, smart fighter. Petr Yan, super tough, it is. And then I do believe I get like a good victory Saturday night, so it's gonna throw me right there. I'm now number 5. We're talking about the number 1, 2, and 3. So I do believe I will get in that in the mix. So yeah, it's just a part of the evolution of the sport. It just has been great and see that much good athletes lately.
Thanks, Pedro.
No worries. Thank you.
Our next question is from Jim Barcelone with the Miami Herald.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, Pedro, what is it like? And I know you fighters, you're focused on the fight, but you're in the main event, ESPN, UFC Fight Night. It's such a huge deal. It's such a big event. Just what is it like? Do you ever get to look back a little bit and just say, wow, this is so cool?
Definitely, man. That's a great question. This is really cool. I was just talk with this like in a, someone before you, and it's definitely the word that I can say that is very. I'm very grateful for that. It's pretty joy. Be able to make money. Through pandemic, being a part of the main event in UFC and fighting the former champ is just a lot of good things out there happening for a reason. And that's my chance right now, and that's the moment. And that's the reason that I love to do what I do. I do that with a lot of passion, and I feel very grateful.
If I'm correct on reading this, your last fight was June in 2019. What does that mean, that time? You're an experienced fighter. Does the experience help you because of that? How do you keep from not getting rusty?
Great question. Yeah, has been a little over than a year. Before fighting Aljo, I was fighting guys that was coming to fight. Aljo was the guy that was very smart. He was using his length. He was he was more a strategy in the fight. And in my point of view. So, and also I was able to, for the last year, to involve also my skills and get better in fighting a guy that sometimes he's not gonna come into my fight. Sometimes he's gonna just do enough to win by points and stuff like that. Sometimes it was not something that I was used to it, but I had like a little over than a year to get better in that sense of if a guy's gonna just winning just by points or things like that. So I could it was a good timing because I was able to get together with all my coaches and see what I did wrong in the fight, what I could do better. And we had all this time. A month later after the fight, I was back in the gym helping my friends getting ready for fights and stuff like that. And also was I took that fight, I took that loss like a learning process, for me to see what I need to get better at. And I do believe that I did my homework, and I do believe that I got a little bit smarter in that sense. And Saturday is a good test, to put it all that in perspective and putting my game style there.
And Pedro, you were hit with the COVID. You were supposed to fight earlier, but you got hit with the COVID. Just how bad was it for you during that time? How serious health-wise was it? Was it just being in quarantine for a couple of weeks? How did that process go for you, and how serious did you get with that?
Yeah, I just see like it's all depend how we see things. I just in that moment I just try to be grateful. To nothing worse could have happened with me and my family. We all got sick. We all tested positive for COVID, but luckily and very grateful that nobody had to go to hospital and things like that. I have a daughter, small daughter in the house, my wife and things like that. We felt a little bit sick, but it was something that we could have worked through, and we're here today.
And just two more real quick. The pandemic, did you train differently because you had experienced COVID? Did you train differently after that with ATT or no?
I took like a week, and that week that I took off, I did a lot of tests. I was very grateful to Dan Lambert, the guy that owns American Top Team. He was, really like taking care of me and every single fighter at American Top Team. I was getting tested almost every day, and all the tests was coming back in negative. As soon as I went back to Florida, I think it was at the end of whatever, So it was as soon as I got back to Florida, I did the test that day. I was negative. The day before, I did another test. 2 days later, I got the results. I was negative as well. Did some other blood tests and things like that. And I took a week off so I can recover from driving back Vegas in Florida. Took 40 hours. Drove with my friend Mike Brown, which got tested positive as well. He was with Jorge Masvidal to fight Usman. We drove back, so yeah, so was able to all my tests come back positive, so I could not put it, other people like in risk and things like that. Came back to training, might be ready to go. So, we took a little bit easy in that week, and little by little we started picking up. And we finished this training camp great, very strong.
All right, I had a couple more, but you know what? Let someone else ask. Thank you so much, Pedro. All the best fight night on ESPN, UFC.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Our next question is from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
Hey, Pedro, kind of going back to the COVID situation last month, can you kind of walk me through the emotion of, going all the way out to Vegas, you're getting ready to fly to Fight Island, and they tell you test positive for COVID. I talked to Mike Brown. I think I actually talked to him while you guys were in the car, and he said, it's an emotional experience to go through that and know that you're putting other people at risk, all the things that kind of walk through that. Like, can you kind of give me the idea of the emotions you felt during that time?
Definitely, man. Definitely. It's a great question. It was definitely like a roller coaster emotions, getting Vegas, get ready to fight, big fight of my career, and then get the next day a call saying I got tested positive for COVID. I was immediately shocked at the moment. But, a few minutes later, I starting like understanding more. It's just a bad situation that we are all going through right now. And I just trust the process, and the same day as we were driving, me and Mike Brown driving to Florida, I got a text saying that, a message text saying that the fight was going to happen, and Frankie was not fighting nobody in Abu Dhabi. So in that moment, I felt happy again, happy again. So as soon as I came back home, me and my family, we make sure we were good, and luckily that we got sick, but nobody had to go to the hospital, no health issues. I was very grateful for that, very lucky, knowing that a lot of people are suffering a lot through this COVID. I see, we see in the news, which we should not believe as much we do, but anyway, people were getting sick, so for me, it was very grateful for, as soon as I got back to Florida, we got a test in the day, and the test came back the next day negative. We like, oh, it's weird. We took another test and negative again. So I even though I took another week off to make sure it was, negative, like the travel itself was a long drive. Imagine Vegas to Florida, it was literally cross country. We drove that, we didn't stop, so it was exhausting. So I took that week to rest, and then 7 days later I started training again, pick up the intensity little by little, make sure everything was good. And a week later, I got a great news that they pushed that fight a week later to the main event. So it gave me an extra motivation to do what I do, and just to show like the best version that I could be myself.
Yeah. Obviously, Pedro, you've had a lot of big wins in this division, and you mentioned where you're ranked. You're still in that top 5, and Frankie is new coming in, but he obviously is a guy who's been around forever, been a champion, been a contender at featherweight. Like, in a lot of ways, do you feel like this is actually a bigger fight for you than fighting another ranked opponent? No offense to the guys who are ranked, but just because of who Frankie is.
Definitely. No, you completely right in that sense. Like I said in some of the interviews before, and I told people before, I started watching UFC. The first guys that I watched, it was very early age in my life. It was Royce Gracie, and then later on, UFC was already starting getting big. More fighters, better skill, just the evolution of the sport itself. So Frankie was the guy that used to call my attention, because the skills wise, he was not even a jiu-jitsu guy fighting a boxer guy like back in those days. He was a guy that well-rounded, boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and all that, footworks and things like that. And right now I have just the opportunity to be fighting a living legend like that as in a main event. So it's let's say that's one of the biggest fight of my life, but every single fight, it is the biggest fight of my life. Robbie Fong was a guy that was super tough, fought him in Brazil. Brian Caraway, veteran, well-rounded. Even before UFC, you know, I fought guys like Jeff Kern, guys like that. So I just fought, like you said, the beginning, you know, of our conversation. I'm very grateful to being exposed such a young age of my life in UFC just to the best fighters, you know, in the division, the best fighters, being able to fight the best fighters in the world, you know. So for me right now is just another challenge. It's just another guy who's really good. But in the end of the day, he has two arms like I do. He has two legs, what I do. And we're gonna see who wants more.
And my last question, Pedro, a win over Frankie Edgar means something. I mean, Frankie has lost to so few guys in his career. Beating Frankie Edgar really means something. And you look at the division, I think we all hope, or at least we imagine, we're going to see Peter Yan against Aljamain Sterling. I know your teammate Marlon Moraes has got Corey Sandhagen. Where do you feel like a win over Frankie puts you? Because after the Cody fight, you were right there. I know you had the battle with Aljo, but do you feel like you're right in that mix where you want to be in terms of that title? Because it feels like right now bantamweight is better than it's ever been.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. We have so many good fights right now, right? So my teammate Marlon Moraes fighting Sandhagen, another tough opponent which lost to Aljo. You know, it just show like how good Aljo is as well, you know. And if you see our fight a year ago was very close, you know, I was able to work some things to, if I fight Aljon again, you know, it's going to be a different, I'm not going to just waiting for him to come bang it out with me. You know, I know he works in a little bit different way. So for me, I had to take that loss to see that it's not about fighting every single time. Sometimes it's about to, you know, working things different. You know, we're talking about in a sport that it's constantly evolving, you know, and we gotta just be smarter. And I was able to, you know, to take that loss and take the whole year, you know, seeing what I did and what I could do better. And I do believe like Aljo, if he would fight with a Peter Yan, and depending how that fight goes on a Saturday, you know, I wanna make a big statement, and I wanna be the next for the title shot.
Thank you, Pedro.
Thank you.
Our last question is from Diogo Souza with Tribuna do Paraná.
Fala, Pedrão, beleza, cara?
Tudo bom?
Opa, maravilha. Vamos lá, cara. Eu queria que você começasse falando aí da tua preparação com os treinadores curitibanos aí, né, cara? Você tem uma parceria com o Catel, com o Everton, como que foi, cara?
Pô, vou te falar, na verdade, os treinadores curitibanos, né, eles fazem parte, assim, da minha trajetória, da minha evolução durante muitos anos, né? Eu vim para os Estados Unidos em 2010, comecei a treinar com o Dida, primeiro, com o André Dida, né?
Legal.
Aí, logo depois de pouco menos de um ano, o Dida voltou para o Brasil, aí o Rafael Cordeiro tomou a frente da Black House. Comecei a treinar com o Rafael Cordeiro, no qual eu treinei com ele durante 7 anos. Peguei a faixa preta, né? Que a galera fala, pô, Muay Thai não tem faixa, mas não é Muay Thai. É o estilo curitibano, você sabe muito bem. É o estilo do shootbox que veio das antigas, entendeu? Eles falam faixa, cordão negro, enfim. Então, aí, desde então, eu mudei para American Top Team. Comecei a treinar com o Catel, com o Macarrão e com o Everton, minha preparação física, entendeu? Então, assim, a trajetória, assim, na parte da minha vida com pessoas assim do Paraná, de Curitiba, assim, a gente está falando coisas desde a minha mudança do Brasil para os Estados Unidos.
Pô, legal, cara, show de bola. Pô, pelas tuas redes sociais ali, a gente acompanha que tu é bem próximo aí da tua filha, né? E como que é a tua relação, assim, quando você vai lutar e tal, ela acompanha, como que é?
Não, minha filhinha, ela cresceu praticamente no tatame, né? Quando ela nasceu, a minha esposa ainda estava trabalhando naquela época. Ela começou a ir comigo praticamente com os meses, foi crescendo naquele ambiente, entendeu? Hoje em dia ela vai para academia, ela já começou a fazer jiu-jitsu quando ela tinha 3 anos de idade. Hoje em dia ela estava fazendo a ginástica antes da pandemia, teve que parar, entendeu? Luta é uma coisa que faz parte da nossa vida, da minha vida, assim, Para mim é difícil me desligar disso. Eu tento me desligar para ser um pai, um marido mais presente. É difícil, é uma coisa assim que eu tenho assim muita paixão assim, a luta em si. Então é algo assim que ela tem convívio desde quando ela nasceu, entendeu? A gente assiste sempre lutas e a gente tenta desligar de uma maneira ou outra, mas como eu te disse, é difícil. Então isso, eu não sei se é do ambiente ou se é algo dela ou não, mas ela gosta de ir na academia. Eu tenho o prazer também de levar ela para academia, para ela ter esse envolvimento, esse conhecimento sobre o esporte. Eu apoio ela em outras áreas do esporte também, na ginástica olímpica. Recentemente ela ia começar a capoeira, aí começou a pandemia. Ela chegou a fazer algumas aulas e eu quero que ela fez futebol também. Então, assim, de uma maneira ou outra, eu tento apresentar para elas assim os esportes. E aí, quando ela crescer no esporte em si, entendeu? Saber qual a importância assim da atividade física, da alimentação em si. E aí pode ser possa fazer parte da vida dela ou não, como profissão ou como hobby.
Show, maravilha, cara. Pra encerrar da minha parte aqui, cara, pô, o pessoal já perguntou aí da luta em si e tal. Eu queria que você falasse, pô, você vai fazer a tua grande luta aí, né? Vai fazer uma luta principal. O que que te motiva, cara, o que que te motivou durante toda a carreira e quem que te inspirou a entrar nesse mundo aí, cara, das artes marciais?
Boa pergunta, brother. Essa motivação da luta em si, brother, eu sempre tento fazer essa reflexão e sempre tento me lembrar lá um tempo atrás. O meu pai, ele foi um cara que ele gostou muito de futebol. E como ele gostava de brigar nos jogos, ele sempre soube da importância da briga, da luta, da defesa pessoal em si. A partir disso, eu comecei a gostar muito dos filmes logo no início da minha vida do Jean-Claude Van Damme. Eu ficava fissurada nos filmes dele, naquele Kickboxer, que o irmão dele luta com Tom Poe, ele vai pra Tailândia. É um dos melhores filmes pra mim até hoje em dia. Até mesmo é o Bloodsport, né, que no Brasil chama Dragão Branco. Era um filme que me fissurava também. Ele viajava assim no mundo inteiro, fazia parte do comitê. E logo nessa idade, com 4 5 anos, eu pedi pro meu pai que eu queria fazer kickboxing. No Brasil, o kickboxing era mais nos Estados Unidos. No Brasil era o karatê nessa época e o judô. Então eu fiz bastante karatê na minha infância. Sempre gostei, parava, recomeçava, parava, recomeçava. Então, assim, a arte marcial, o esporte de combate sempre esteve envolvido na minha vida desde os meus princípios, entendeu? E aí, com 13, 14 anos, foi quando eu me envolvi com o esporte mesmo, que foi o jiu-jitsu, assistindo Royce Gracie no UFC, nos primeiros UFC 1, 2 e 3. Achei o jiu-jitsu muito eficaz, queria treinar jiu-jitsu, encontrei umas academias ah, perto do meu bairro, onde eu morava. Meu pai me matriculou, coisa de 6 meses já estava competindo e assim entrei assim admiração e paixão muito grande pelo esporte. Eu queria fazer isso por vida. Meu pai falava: não, mas você não consegue, você não vai conseguir fazer dinheiro com isso. Daí você não tem como, não sei o que lá. Você tem que estudar, você tem que. No qual eu fiz educação física, mas eu sempre soube que eu poderia viver da arte marcial, da luta em si. Entendeu? Então essa motivação assim sempre teve em mim e eu nunca pensei no esporte como uma maneira de ganhar dinheiro. Eu sempre teve a paixão primeiro, entendeu? Eu sempre coloquei a paixão em primeiro lugar e nisso eu sempre quis melhorar. E é logo no princípio, quando eu comecei a fazer jiu-jitsu, por volta dos meus 16, 17 anos, eu quis fazer o boxing para melhorar o meu cardio no jiu-jitsu e eu comecei a gostar de um boxe de uma maneira que eu competi boxe, fiz algumas lutas durante esse período. E aí o jiu-jitsu começou a ficar um pouco banal para mim, devido às pessoas querer ganhar por vantagem, usar aquela guarda 50-50. Você acompanha jiu-jitsu ou não?
Sim, sim, é.
Então começou a ficar um esporte um pouco banal. Aí eu queria algo que poderia trazer mais emoção. Aí eu comecei a participar mais de torneios sem kimono do que de kimono, no qual eu poderia usar mais as minhas qualidades de explosão, força, resistência. Comecei a treinar o wrestling no Brasil, tinha alguns cubanos que estavam lá. Tive a oportunidade de treinar o wrestling, então assim, e nesse período eu quis pegar minha faixa preta, quis ser campeão mundial de jiu-jitsu no qual não fui campeão mundial de jiu-jitsu, mas eu já, com meus 16 e 7 anos, já vim aprimorando já a parte em pé. Então, para mim, foi uma adaptação muito fácil, porque eu fiz o karatê um pouco, né, na parte da minha infância. Então, a luta em si em pé, ela veio com uma adaptação fácil, entendeu? Então, hoje em dia, quando a galera fala, pô, você é um cara que veio do jiu-jitsu, entre aspas, entendeu? Eu comecei no jiu-jitsu, mas eu coloquei muita ênfase na luta em pé em si. Isso que no qual eu acredito que me ajudou chegar onde eu cheguei hoje e ser um lutador completo.
Show de bola, cara. Muito obrigado e boa sorte aí no sabadão. Tamo junto.
Obrigado.
That's all the time we have for you today, Pedro. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
We are now joined by UFC welterweight Takashi Sato. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Stateside Press.
Hey, Takashi. This is your second fight of the pandemic. What did you learn from your first time around to make this fight week smoother for yourself?
パンデミックのね、2回目だけども、スムーズに行うにはどういうふうにしたらいいっていう、そういうアジャストを考えて
特に何も考えてないで、1回目も別にそのストレスなくできたんで、同じように、リラックスして過ごしています。
Actually, I'm not really thinking anything specifically about that because the first experience, I never felt any stress or anything like that. So I'm just trying to be relaxed in this week and that's it. Same as any other fight.
You're fighting Daniel Rodriguez, a guy on a good win streak. What does he bring to the table that makes him a dangerous fighter?
練習中のダニエル・ロドリゲスで一番気をつけなくちゃいけない。
彼ノックアウトパワー持ってますし、決める、フィニッシュもあるので、すごいアグレッシブでタフなファイターだと思って、そういうところはやっぱり、気をつけております。
Well, he has the power to knock out any opponent, and he also can finish fights on the ground as well. And he's very aggressive. So, I understand his game plan, and I have to be prepared for this fight.
After your last fight, you talked about putting on the type of performances that people knew you for before you came to the UFC. You just mentioned he's an aggressive guy. Do you think that this fight has the potential to be one of those great fights? Because people are expecting a really good one for you too.
まあ、ファンは2人の試合にすごく期待してて、基本的にはもっと佐藤さんが自分が知られるような試合をしたいと言ったんで、そういった結果になるようないい試合になる。
まあそうですね、もちろん相手もアグレッシブで、僕も、ノックアウト、フィニッシュを常に狙っているので、ノックアウトに限らず、サブミッションもそうですけど、そういう面ではすごいアグレッシブでタフな試合になるかなと思ってます。その中で勝って、いいアピールができればなっていうのは思ってます。
Yes, I think definitely this one is going to be a very aggressive fight, and but I'm always looking for a knockout, and I also can finish the fight on the ground as well. So yes, I'm looking to have a very exciting fight and win and get more recognized by both UFC and the fans and everybody around it.
Thank you.
Our next question is from Rodney James Edgar with MMAsoldier.net.
Hey, how's it going, my friend?
Hi.
I saw an Instagram post that you put a while back, and it's a really, really cool, inspiring story about how you got into judo. And maybe I missed it in the translation, but at what age did you start doing martial arts?
I started martial arts 23.
And then, so you started with judo. At what point did you transition into striking?
格闘技始めてからです。Just start MMA and start training striking. 23, same.
I see. So you didn't do judo alone. In other words, judo just is what inspired you to go into the gym in the first place?
要するにじゃあ柔道をしたかったからジムに通い始めた。
どういうことですか？格闘技始める時ですか？もう22歳大学生まで柔道をやってて、そこから格闘技を始めたので、それまで格闘技を始めたくて格闘技を始めたっていう感じです。
Well, I was a judo player to age 22, and right after that, I transitioned to MMA. So everything like striking or anything you needed for the MMA began at age 20.
Okay, I understand. Well, your striking is fantastic. You're fighting a guy who's actually got a really effective boxing style. Very tough, durable striker, and he's done well for himself in the Apex. But you've also fought at the Apex in that smaller cage. So you kind of know what the whole drill is going to be like in the pandemic era. Do you think that gives you a more advantage than if you hadn't fought there before?
エイペックス前に試合してこういった状況でやっていくことによってそれも自分にとっては有利なことになると思いますか？
不利になることはないですよね。ケージちっちゃいっていうのもありますけど、特に気にもなりませんし、しっかり足も使えるので、自分のスタイルを十分に発揮できると思ってます。
Yeah, I don't think anything would be disadvantage for me. So yes, it's probably an advantage, and I don't really care if it's smaller cage. As long as I can move around and stick with my game plan, my style, it should be fine.
Where exactly was your training camp located?
Training in Florida, in Sanford MMA.
Okay, great. Well, listen, I look forward to a great fight between you two guys, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much, sir.
That's all we have for you today, Takashi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
We are now joined by UFC women's flyweight Shana Dobson. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Stateside Press.
Hey, Shana. This is your first fight of the pandemic. What's it like going into this one as you've heard so many people talk about their experiences with the quarantine, the testing, etc.?
It's been kind of weird, but I really like what the UFC is doing. They're making sure that, with the protocol, everybody's safe and, everyone, if anyone was to test positive, that they would find out right away. I didn't like that COVID test that I had to take at home, but I understand it was necessary, so it's all good.
So far, have you only done the throat swab or have you had to do the nasal test?
Yeah, the one at home was the nasal test. From what I understand, it wasn't as bad as the first nasal test that they was doing with the really long Q-tip, but the Q-tip was like this big. It was disgusting, sticking out my nose. It felt very violated, but I appreciate the safety.
Oh, gosh. You know what? All right, so talk about it. Outside of the tests, is anything different from what you expected? Because obviously, you kind of go into it, oh, I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to have to deal with this and that during fight week since it's different. Has anything surprised you about the reality of what it's been?
I haven't been really surprised. My coach, Sean Madden, he's been out to a bunch of these fights so far, the quarantine UFC fights. So he kind of hit me to the game and let me know, what it's going to be like, the weirdness about it. But hasn't been much of a surprise. It's been a great, tight protocol, which I appreciate. I didn't want to come here with COVID or bring COVID back. So I'm happy about that.
To shift gears to Mariya, what does she bring to the table that makes her a dangerous opponent?
Oh man, she's young, she's excited. She's coming off a great win, an impressive win. So, I have to give credit to my opponents as always.
And final question, to address the elephant in the room, you're in a bit of a rough patch. Do you feel like you're fighting for your UFC career in this one?
Man, I have a different mindset than most people. I look forward. I look to the future. I look at the present right now. And, I'm with a great team. I'm with Elevation Fight Team. I'm with a great set of coaches. So I just feel confident. I'm not even thinking about that. I don't think that is going to even be an issue come Saturday night.
Thank you, Shana.
Sure.
Our next question is from Gabriel Pengelingen with Dojo Drifter.
Hey, Shana, so after 3 fights in the UFC, what are, some of the biggest lessons and takeaways that you have?
Man, I think that the biggest lesson, after fighting in the UFC is just train your mental game. It's very important that you guys that fighters come in mentally prepared as well as physically prepared. It can't just be 100% physical as far as preparation. Be aware of the feelings that you're going to feel, leading up to the fight week, the fight night. Be aware of those feelings, embrace them. And I think that's really what sets this Saturday apart.
So do you think you've been able to address those mental preparations ahead of this fight better than in previous fights?
Sorry. Yeah, definitely. I've been working with my coaches a lot. I'm doing my master's program right now to be a counselor. So, I strongly believe that your mind is, it's very powerful and it's a muscle that needs to be worked just like our bodies. So yeah, we've been working that a lot.
So tell me about that master's. How long has that been going on and what is the end goal there?
Man, too long. It's been a couple of years, but I've finished in November, and I would like to work with professional athletes. I feel like with pro athletes, this is something that we don't talk about. We don't talk about our feelings or our emotions, and I feel like I would like to help pro athletes open up about those things because we do some of the craziest stuff in the world, and I feel like we need to talk about how it mentally pushes us.
That sounds awesome. And I actually noticed on your chest a tattoo, One Love, One Heart. When Destiny, can you tell me a little bit about the backstory of that tattoo?
Yeah. So I'm Jamaican. My parents were born and raised in Kingston, Jamaica. So, that's one love, one people is a big motto that the Jamaican people live by. And then, of course, about the Bob Marley quote, Bob Marley, Jamaica. He's a great symbol of that country. So, I definitely, I have connection with my roots.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shana. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks.
Our next question is from Rodney James Edgar with MMAsoldier.net.
Hey, first of all, is it Shana or Shana? Because I always thought it was Shana. Everybody's calling me Shana.
Thank you for asking. It's Shana. Yeah, am I hearing it wrong? It's Shana. That's what they're saying.
Okay.
Right?
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
Shana, but thank you for asking. I appreciate that. But I answer to all 26 pronunciations of my name.
And it's really not even that difficult if you think about it. So first of all, congratulations on the Masters. I actually am. I'm just finishing mine up right now in journalism, so I know it is a tough journey. It's one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. So hang in there, and let us know how that turns out. Okay.
Sure. Thanks.
What's your bachelor's in? Was it also
family studies?
Okay, so that's a smooth transition into that.
Yeah.
You talked about, you really piqued my interest earlier when you were talking about the mental aspect of preparation. Because if you look at the best of the best fighters like John Jones, GSP, they are very, very big proponents of that mental preparation. Mm-hmm. And I know, from experience that a fight camp is very, very stressful. And adding a global pandemic on top of that is just so much worse. Can you just talk a little bit about that, how the added stressors make it harder?
Yeah, I feel like with the pandemic and whatnot, it really threw a curveball and for a lot of fighters, we didn't have access to our gyms, to our coaches, to our training partners. But I think that, just staying calm and planning really helped, plan with what we did was we planned with our teammates, like, where are we going to train? When are we going to train? How many people? How are we going to make sure that we're safe about it? And I think, our sport is so resilient. We've just made adjustments.
Great. You earlier you mentioned Bob Marley, and you said something about a Bob Marley quote, but you never actually told us the quote. So do you have a good inspirational Bob Marley quote you'd like to share? I know there's many of them.
I don't remember the exact words, but I remember like an interview that he did where he was talking about what to him, what is wealth to him and what are riches. And, he was saying like not materialistic things, like he's saying like people that you have, like great people around you and having great energy and accomplishments. That's being wealthy. Like that's having riches. That's what he considered riches. So yeah, I really vibe with that.
Absolutely. I love that. I subscribe to that philosophy as well. Last thing, just bonus question. You said your family's from Kingston. I've been in Jamaica, lovely place. Have you ever tried any of that fantastic Guinness that they only make in Jamaica?
Fantastic what?
Guinness. They have a Guinness brewery in Jamaica. It's the only one outside of Ireland, as far as I know. And you can only get it in Jamaica.
Oh, I'm gonna have to hit that up. I plan on going back to Jamaica within the next couple years, after COVID slows down. So yeah, I love me a good beer, so I'm gonna have to hit that up.
All right, thanks so much, and hey, we look forward to your fight. I know it's going to be a great one. So best of luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Our last question is from Gavin Porter with UFC.com.
That's me. So I just wanted to ask, why is this going to be the best version of you that we've seen so far? We've seen the tough version, and then we saw the last two fights. Why is this version on Saturday going to be the best option we've seen?
I think I got to give credit to the training that I've put in and where I've been for the last 6 months. I feel like my team has spoken for, the results have spoken for itself. And just, the people that I surround myself with, the level of competition that I'm training with, my training partners. You know, it's stacked in there every Tuesday, every Friday when we're in there getting it, and we're pushing each other and we're sparring hard. You know, I've already seen. There's nothing that I haven't seen yet. You know what I mean? I've already been. I feel fully prepared.
Yeah, and when you think about this fight on Saturday and you envision it, what does it look like for you? What do you envision your style matching up with her style? And what's it look like?
I think it's gonna be fun. I feel like Mariya, you know, she's a great striker. She's a great all around fighter, and I feel like, you know, I have that experience, and I have, you know, I've been in there for wars. I've been in there for technical matches. You know what I mean? So I feel like, and no matter where the fight goes, you know, we're both gonna be prepared to put on a great show for the audience.
And what does a statement win for you look like to get that finally that UFC dub that you want so bad? What does a statement win look like for you?
Man, you know I have power, so, you know, obviously everyone says they're going out there looking for a knockout. I know I have power. I believe that knockouts shouldn't be forced; they're not forced. So whatever happens, happens. But, you know, I know we're gonna be victorious.
Perfect. Thank you.
We're good, Shana. Much. All right. Do I can go to the shuttle now? Now you can. Oh, okay.
We are now joined by UFC light heavyweight Mike Rodriguez. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cateside Press.
Hey, Mike. So this is your first fight of the pandemic. What's it like going into this one after you've gotten to hear everybody talk about what it's going to be like, the quarantine, the testing, etc.?
I just adapted with it. It wasn't like I've heard guys being like, "Oh, it's a pain in the ass," blah blah blah. I'm just like, just go with the flow. It's easy if you just listen to what you're being told what to do and just do it, and it'll be an easy process versus to just trying to be a pain in the ass. That's how I've been dealing with it.
Being in there, is there anything different than what you've expected?
Compared to what everybody before me was telling me about it, nah, it's just exactly the way they said it was going to be.
What does Marcin Prachnio bring that makes him a dangerous opponent?
He has that unique karate style, kind of like a Machida type. I can say Machida's name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like a Machida thing, where he's like point karate, like he darts in, darts out, things of that nature. So that's the big threat that he brings.
Did you bring anybody or do anything specific in camp to kind of prepare for that style?
Yeah, I used my buddy Ross Levine, who actually, if I'm not sure, I think he competed against Prachnio during that karate era, like their karate days, because he's a point karate guy as well, and he helped me out big time. He was my main sparring partner. Because of COVID and everything, I couldn't really use many other guys, so I just mainly used him to spar with. So he was the guy.
Have you thought about how you're able to celebrate a victory like this? Because obviously, Vegas half open, half closed, and everything else, and this would be a big win for you.
Yeah, man. I thought about it. It's gonna do what But but I've been doing this whole time. Go back to my room playing Ghost of Tsushima.
Hey, go for it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Our next question is from Rodney James Edgar with MMAsoldier.net.
Hey, what's going on, my man?
What's happening?
Hey, we talked to your opponent earlier, and he's coming off of a long layoff. And if you look at his resume, he went on I want to say like a 9 or 10 fight win streak before suffering 2 back-to-back KOs. So clearly, he is in a his back's against the wall in that position. Because typically when we see people come in that have that burden, they tend to take more risks because at this point it's like they got to go for broke. Do you think that makes him more dangerous, or do you think the layoff will kind of offset that?
I didn't really look at. Well, yes, I do think he is going to be more reckless and more dangerous because of the where he sits at, and I feel like I'm in kind of the same boat as he is too. So we're definitely both going to try to fucking bring it as much as possible. But in terms of the layoff, I'm assuming I'm going to be optimistic. What I've been thinking is that he clearly has grown within the 2 years. I hope he hasn't took the 2 years and just been kicking his feet back. Hope he's been growing and working. So I'm expecting a different fighter from his last outing when he fought before.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, we've seen some folks do that, come away, 2 years GSP after 4 years, and look outstanding. So, yeah, that's a good point. I had one follow-up question for you, and I just lost my train of thought. Damn it. All right, then. I guess that's it.
It's all right.
Sorry. Been a long day.
I get it.
That's all we have for you today, Mike. Thank you.
That's it. All right, guys. Thank you. You guys have a good one. Stay safe. Wash your hands.
We're now joined by UFC light heavyweight Alonzo Menifield. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with.
Hey, Alonzo.
Hey.
So this fight was announced pretty recently. When did they first reach out to you about it?
Thursday. They reached out to me. And I said yes, Thursday.
I mean, obviously, I don't got to tell you, that is very, very short notice. I mean, can you just explain preparing and just getting everything together in that span?
Yeah, I've been training already since my last fight for some time now. So to get the call on Thursday, it was no brainer for me. I was like, I'm ready.
This is your second fight of the pandemic. Have you approached anything differently going into fight week to make it smoother for yourself after the experience of the first one?
Yeah, I did. I came in a lot lighter, worked on the cardio. So, this weight cut would be super easy.
and I won't feel like I felt last fight.
So your last fight, it was the first loss of your career. Everyone talks about, you learn more from them and this and that. When you went back to the gym, what did you take from that last one to make yourself a better fighter?
Work harder. Build a gym, in case the gyms do close around, so that I can keep working hard. That's pretty much what I learned.
Was the lack of a gym opening, was it more stressful on you for the last fight?
Yeah, for us crawling, climbing up on a ladder in the UFC, yeah, it's pretty challenging. So, I saw that though. So now I don't have to worry about gyms closing.
Also, were you able to bring, obviously, the structure is one thing. Were you able to get more people around you, coaches and training partners, to help prepare for this one around?
Right. Yes, we have a circle of good people training around the clock, Mondays through Saturdays. Our team is solid. So yeah, we got that all formed within this COVID-19 crazy time.
My final question, what does OSP bring that makes him a dangerous opponent?
I guess he's a veteran. He got a lot of experience. Besides that, it'll be bombs away for me, and a fun fight. I look forward to it.
As a guy who's gonna be fighting him, he's obviously known for things like the Von Flue choke. Do you watch that? And is that something in camp that you talk about? Like, no matter what, he's not gonna be a guy. He's not gonna catch me in this thing, no matter how this fight is going.
Right. I'm definitely like anti Von Flue. Given the cardiovascular, I won't be that tired, so he won't be able to catch me in it. If he does catch me, I mean, what can you say to all the other people that got caught in it? It is what it is. But, I don't plan on going in that position. Sticking and moving. It's pretty much what I'm going to do.
Thank you.
All right.
Our next question is from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
Hey, Alonzo, coming out of that last fight, coming off the Contender Series, you had so much hype around you, and you go out there and you get 2 big first-round finishes, and then you have the fight the last time didn't go your way. How do you deal with that hype and expectation? Because immediately people are saying this is a future contender, but then you lose and everyone's saying, oh, he was overrated. He was, he wasn't as good as we thought he was. Like, how do you deal with that in your own head? You're still, young in the sport and learning as you go. I mean, how do you deal with those kind of like expectations that get heaped on your shoulders?
I don't deal with it. I am what I am. I build my skills. I train myself with my team. As far as what people say and their expectation, I can care less. As far as me growing as a fighter, that's always high and something I hold, to the fullest. But yeah, people's expectation, man, it's pretty crazy. If you dial into it, you can literally jump off a building. So that's not me.
Yeah. Coming out of that last one, you never know what your next fight's going to be. I mean, obviously it's the UFC, you're going to take what they offer you, but were you happy to get a guy like OSP, an established guy, former title contender? I mean, again, it doesn't erase the loss, I know that, but it feels like this puts you right back where you want to be, because OSP is a pretty sizable name in this division.
Yeah, given that he's been in here for a while, I'm honored, to step in at this short notice and fight him. I'm excited, fighting OSP and him being that title challenger guy and fighting all these great, opponents. For me, it's like fighting him, it solidified where I stand in the division, so I'm excited.
As I mentioned, you have a lot of dominant finishes out there, and OSP is one of those guys. Again, he's been in there with the very best in the world, went 5 rounds with John Jones, things like that. What would it mean to you to go out there and get a finish over a guy like OSP, who, again, has literally faced the best of the best in this division?
Right. It'll basically say what I've been saying. I'll be a top dog. Taking him out means that's where I belong. So rank me.
and being in the spotlight here as well. I mean, it's got to be nice here. Again, short notice, never perfect, but getting a co-main event spotlight on you. Like, do you enjoy that aspect of it with this fight? That you a little bit more, a little bit bigger spotlight, so to speak.
Right. I would enjoy it more with the crowd. But given the nature, I'm excited. I'm enjoying it. Yeah, I love it.
Thanks, Alonzo.
All right.
Our next question is from Rodney James Edgar with MMAsoldier.net.
Hey, what's going on, my man?
Hey,
Dallas, Texas is in the house. And I know you're originally from LA, so I forgive you. You got right. Your team is great, man. You guys have been killing it, absolutely killing it. So many good fighters out of there. Man, really looking forward to this one. Your last fight was amazing. Got to say, man, that fade is fantastic. Where are you finding a barbershop open nowadays? It's hard to get into the barbershop.
Right. Tristan, man, yo, over there in Texas, man. I searched up and down in Texas, and I found him. After about 3 years, and he cuts me up, real nice.
All right. Well, if you're ever in San Antonio for a fight and I'm there, I will show you the best place in Texas. Anyway, okay. All right. So let's talk fights. All right. Man, yeah. So first of all, I was talking to OSP earlier, and I'm like, the recipe for this matchup is pretty interesting because you have two former NCAA linebackers who are going to get in there, and both of you have that one-punch knockout power. So I think this fight on paper automatically just, it lends itself to probably not going the distance. What do you think? I mean, obviously you want to always go for the finish, but he's a hard guy to finish too.
Right. He's been in a fight where he gets cracked, man, and he keeps going. So my expectation for that is a 3-round war if necessary. But yeah, if it stops early, with me being the victor, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I mean, you had a 3-round war the last time out, and it was pretty. Like I said, it was a great fight. A great fight against another up and comer, and here we go again. So I mean, again, does it do anything for you mentally? I mean, as I know as an athlete, right? You came from football. Anytime that you walk away from a game and the team lost, it's devastating. It's a horrible feeling. But then with fighting, it's just you in there. What does it feel like to experience that for the first time?
I don't know. I guess my mindset, it is what it is. I just got back on the horse, trained, worked out even harder, trained harder on my skills. As far as what happened to me in June 6th, dropping the ball, that's what I called it. I've just been working, so I won't drop the ball next time. So it'll be a fun and exciting fight.
Of that, I am sure. I will see you on Saturday, my friend. Best of luck to you, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
That's all we have for you today, Alonzo. Thank you.
All right, cool.
We're now joined by number 8 ranked UFC featherweight making his bantamweight debut, Frankie Edgar. Our first question goes to Gabriel Gonzalez with Kate Cypress.
Hey, Frankie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So everyone wants to know, how is the cut going down to bantamweight going?
It's going good. It really seems very similar to make it 45. I don't anticipate any problems. I'm not quite down there yet, but it's going as smooth as it could possibly go.
I mean, we know 45, you made it. Obviously no weight cut is easy, but, you kind of got there pretty well over the course of your career. For bantamweight, did you do anything in terms of in the preparation so that this fight week you're not stressing too much about it?
I just started out a little bit sooner than I normally do. I used the UFC PI, Clint from the Fleet PI, and everybody out there helped me out, put a good nutrition plan for me. And, and even, supposed to be fighting July 15th. That fight fell through. I was getting down pretty close. That kind of gave me some confidence knowing that I'd be able to make this weight.
I'm glad you brought that up. Talk about that because you get to Abu Dhabi. I'm assuming you'd already done the flight and everything. And obviously you get the news. Just what was it like going through that and then just the readjustment to prepare for this date now?
Well, I didn't quite get to Abu Dhabi. We had to come to Vegas, take a test, quarantine for 24 before we head out to Abu Dhabi. So that's when I found the news that Pedro tested positive. So I went home from there. I took a week off, gained some weight, and got the fight rebooked, I believe, a couple days later, and then just refocused and got back on track.
I feel like there was a rumor. Was there ever any talk of Aljamain Sterling stepping in to fight you, or was that just the internet going a little crazy?
Yeah, I don't really know, honestly. A lot of people were calling my name, but I wanted to fight Pedro. Getting ready for Pedro, and I heard he wasn't very sick either. It's asymptomatic, possibly. So I thought that was the best thing to do.
Talking about Pedro Munhoz, tough guy. He's fought some big names. What does he bring to the table that makes him dangerous?
He's got heavy hands. He's got a great chin, hard to take down, and a superb submission game. So he's really well rounded. He's not an easy opponent. And, being number 5 is the perfect guy I want to fight.
Going down to bantamweight, you're obviously a very big name, and really the division hasn't been this good in quite a while in a lot of people's opinion. You've got a big 3, Petr Yan, Aljo, Marlon, who you've trained with. Just first on the big 3, how do you see that playing out? Who's going to come out on top with those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously biased to Marlon. He's a good friend of mine, and I think I know what he's capable of, and I think he's one of the best guys in the world. And Aljamain's been on a tear, and Yan looked very impressive against Aldo. So it's going to be interesting to see how everything pans out, and I'm excited to see how I fit in all this.
Yeah, final one for me. We do know that, they're kind of very established already in the weight class, but a big win for you here. Do you feel like this is you're on the short list if you could get a win on Saturday to maybe slide into the title picture already?
I don't know. I just got to worry about winning my fight Saturday. Winning has a way of taking care of things. And if I could do that, anything's possible. What I've done in my career, I'm always knocking on the door. I'm always have opportunities presented to me. And if it does come up, of course, I jump at it.
Thank you, Frankie.
Thanks.
Our next question is from Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
Frankie, I feel like we've talked about bantamweight now for about 2 years, talking about this move, and here we go. What has it been like, kind of waiting for this? You were going to do it last year, then that Korean Zombie fight popped up, you took it, you did what you did, and then you had the delays and the pandemic and all these different things. Like, it felt like kind of forever since you've actually said, I'm moving to bantamweight, and now here's the debut.
Yeah, it does. It does feel like, I believe I made my decision last summer that I was going to go down to bantamweight, and I was trying to hopefully fight in November, and then nothing panned out. Then I was booked for January, and then obviously the fight with Korean Zombie and whatnot, and then me and Pedro have been booked a couple times. So yeah, we're finally here, a couple days away. I'm very excited to finally get this done.
You've always been a guy, I think company man is 2 words to describe you. You're always there to willing to step up when the UFC needs you. That Zombie fight is a perfect example. But when you heard that Pedro was out with COVID-19, I know there was people trying to get the fight with you, Jimmy Rivera, whoever it was. But did you feel like this was too big of an opportunity to pass up just to fight somebody in the division, whereas Pedro's a number 5 guy, and this would be a huge way to introduce yourself to bantamweight?
Yeah, exactly. I've taken some short notice fights or short opponents changes, and didn't always work out the way I wanted to. So I learned from some past mistakes, I guess you could say, and I said, let's just wait. We got rebooked a month later. It's really not that big a deal. And it just feel like I had more time to prepare, more time to realize I could make this weight, and it all worked out.
I know your focus is only on Pedro Munhoz, but I got to ask you, you're jumping into a division where you have a lot of friends at bantamweight. You train with Cody Garbrandt. I know he's going to fight for flyweight, but he's talked about doing both divisions. You mentioned Marlon. I know he's down at ATT, but you're still very close, very good friends with him. Aljo, I know you don't really train with him, but he comes from that same Renzo Gracie family. Is it weird, jumping in and challenging these guys? You just understand that's part of the sport because, again, you do have kind of a tight-knit group of friends and teammates.
Yeah, well, I think we could avoid, me and Aljamain don't train. We possibly talked about fighting before, so that could definitely be a possibility. I don't think I'll ever fight Marlon. And, Cody, he's going down 25, so I don't have to worry about that. And, we've been getting pretty close as well, too. So there's plenty of guys to fight in this weight class. The champion, obviously, Aljo, and many others, Corey. And, there's plenty of guys I have opportunity to go against.
Yeah. You were going to there was the talk about the Corey fight, back in January. Then you end up getting Pedro Munhoz. Pedro is obviously a phenomenal fighter. Outside the loss to Aljo, he had been on a pretty incredible streak with the win over Cody in there as well. Do you feel like this is kind of the perfect matchup to introduce yourself to the division in terms of getting you in that top five? Because you've always been that guy. You never want to be, you don't ever want to be out of title contention. And this seems like kind of the perfect matchup to get you mentioned already.
Yeah, exactly. Pedro's been a stud in this weight class for a while. He's got some big wins over very good guys. And, a win will put me in the direction I want to be. It'll put me in the position I want to be. I've been fighting the best guys since day one of my UFC career. And, I don't want that to change. And Pedro's the guy that made the most sense for me.
Last question, Frankie. Every fight you're in, because of who you are and what you've done, is always going to have a spotlight on it. Here you are in a main event. You want to make a statement with every fight. We got a lot of big bantamweight fights coming up. Marlon's fighting Corey. I think we all imagine we're going to see Aljamain fight Peter Yan. Things like that. Do you feel like this is a chance to not only introduce yourself to the division, but kind of make a statement of who you are as a threat to that title?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are questioning, where I'm at in my career. I'm a little bit older, and coming down a weight class, people are questioning, my abilities here, and that's my. I want to go out there and. More so than to prove to anybody else, just prove to myself that I'm still a top dog in whatever weight class I fight in.
Thanks, Frankie.
Thanks, Damon.
Our next question is from Jim Barcelone with the Miami Herald.
Thank you so much. I'm just curious about just how amped do you get up for fights? You've been doing this. You've been in big fights, titles. But how amped do you get up? We're coming off trying to get through this pandemic. Fights on ESPN, it's UFC Fight Night. What can you tell us a little bit about that and main eventing this against Pedro?
Yeah, I'm just fortunate that I have the chance to do my craft. A lot of people can't even, work right now because of this pandemic, and a lot of people are dealing with adversity, and, go out there and I could do something I love. It's definitely gets me excited. And, just to fight period, but not only fight period, but fight for a main event, fight a top guy in this new division. It just makes everything that much more, worth it.
When Pedro got COVID, did that hit close to home to you? Did you ever experience that with anyone, family or friends? Unfortunately, hopefully not.
Yeah, I had probably a few, maybe 4 or 5 friends had COVID. No one had it, too bad, thankfully. So, they bounced back pretty quickly. But, people are getting sick, man. It's kind of sucks, but you just got to deal with it, I guess.
Frankie, did you have to train differently during the time from the beginning of the COVID period, I guess back in March, and up until now, and sort of just level it off, see where you're going with it?
Yeah, early on, New Jersey was one of the worst places. So early on, I was, we had a pretty strict quarantine. But as we started opening up, it wasn't too bad. I kept close people around me. I really didn't go around anyone else. We kept the team together, and I had to make some adjustments, but not too bad. So this training camp was actually really good.
And who did you bring with you? I know they're smaller groups, but who did you bring with you for this fight?
As far as my coaches?
Yes, your team, yes.
Yeah, Mark Henry, Ricardo Almeida, Chris Ligori, and Steve Rivera. These guys that pretty much corner me every fight, so nobody different.
So business as usual.
Yeah, business as usual. Everything's going the way we needed to go.
And the last one from me, he fights for American Top Team. And I'm curious, when you're going against an opponent, when you bring up the camp, what camp they're with, does that add a little more to it? Do you look at the fighter differently, or that doesn't play a part or a factor in any of the opponents?
No, it doesn't matter. The name don't even matter. It could be anybody. I'm just fighting an avatar in a video game. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what he's done or what he hasn't done. It's like it's a silhouette that I'm fighting. That's all I get ready for.
And you've been doing that very well. So thank you, Frankie. Go get him on Saturday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Our next question is from Gabriel Pengelangen with the Dojo Drifter.
Frankie, how you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So, you never really have any easy fights. You never have any tune-up fights. Is this something that you actually prefer doing, jumping into the deep end of the pool when you get into any fight or into the new weight divisions?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I'm one of the best in whatever weight class I'm in, and the only way to prove it is by going against the best guys. So Pedro's that guy right now, and yeah, I'm confident that I can get the job done.
Yeah, and this move down another weight class, is this something that you think you wish you did a bit sooner?
I'm not really a coulda, shoulda, woulda guy. It just is what it is. I was able to get a title at 55. I pretty much was number 2 at 45 for a very long time. I've been the best at, or near the best at pretty much any weight class. So, it's just going to show that, that my skills and my technique and my heart really, really matter a lot, even when I was fighting the bigger guys.
Yeah, and so I'm calling from the Philippines, and, Filipinos have been following your career, especially after you headlined UFC Manila. That was 5 years ago, and it's been a crazy career. How would you describe your career over the past 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, there's ups and downs in my career the past 5 years, but, I'm just plugging away. I'm still enjoying what I'm doing, and, yeah, I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, it's tough all around. Businesses are obviously affected by the pandemic. I understand you're a businessman with UFC Gym. So is it difficult balancing the business side and the fighting side of your career?
Yeah, it definitely is. But I got good people in place to help me out with that stuff too, especially when I have fights coming up. So, I kind of let them handle that aspect. But, like I said, this is across the board tough for everybody in every profession. So, you just got to make the adjustments and keep it moving.
And lastly, for me, being a fighter it's a crazy job. It's a tough job. What keeps you motivated? Why do you do what you do?
I just love to compete. I love working out for a job. Get up in the morning and not having to go, in the elements and dig holes or carry pipe like I used to when I was a kid. So, I'll take this any day of the week.
That's awesome. Thank you for your time, Frankie. Best of luck this weekend.
Our next question is from Rodney James Edgar. You have been unmuted.
Hey, what's up, man? It's your cousin. How you doing? Hey, listen, this is probably a follow-up question or I'll ask you a follow-up question about this after the fight, because I know when you're this close to stepping on the scale, it's really hard to tell where your power and energy are going to be on fight night, right? Because right now I'm sure you feel completely depleted and, the whole thing, lethargic. But as of right now, as you're hitting pads, doing your last bit of weight cut, rolling, things like this, light drills, are you feeling the same way that you felt when cutting to 45, or is it a little bit harder?
I mean, I'll be 100% honest. I feel pretty much the same as I did going down to 45. I got my weight down early enough where I'm not stressing, and I really don't think it's going to be a struggle. Honestly, it's going to be very comparable to when I went down to 45. And I've been still getting 2 workouts a day, still doing my normal routine. Tonight I'm going to go probably get a good 5 rounds of work with Coach Mark, and again just things is pretty much the same, honestly.
Cool. And you mentioned earlier you've got the UFC PI adjacent to the UFC Apex, which I don't know if you've had a chance to go there yet. A lot of people in your circle have or have fought there. So what do you think? Like, what do you think about the buzz around the Apex?
Yeah, man. It's it's going to be a little different, fighting in front of nobody. But it's, the UFC did a great job with this. You got hats off to everybody that works for the UFC. They're pretty much making this a seamless transition for us fighters, making sure we're safe. And, thank God they could do this, man, because I'm sure you guys want to watch fights. I know we want to compete, and I'm just fortunate they're able to do that.
And you know something, they're doing the same thing for us in the media, and I told Dana White as much. So actually, thank you for mentioning that. You're the first person to say that. They're going above and beyond with their measures. I want to address the elephant in the room, though. You went a long time in your career without ever being finished, and I have to imagine that at some point that mentally it almost makes you feel like it's not even possible. I certainly feel that way, like it's impossible to finish me. But listen, what was the experience like with the Brian Ortega KO? And I don't just mean in the immediate aftermath. I mean in the days that follow. What is the mental and physical repercussions that you go through after that first one?
Physically, I was fine after that fight. Honestly, I've been rocked, probably worse in other fights. But he did a good job of capitalizing on it and making the referee stop it. But mentally, it's tough, man. I don't take losses very well, especially knockout losses, I guess. But I don't know if they sting any less. A loss is a loss, and it's just something you have to get over. I think in the long run, it makes you stronger, makes you have a bit more mental fortitude. I'm not one to just get down and not get back up. So I'll always get back up, and that's the most important thing. Right.
And I think for you, you've been pretty vocal about this in the past. I think the losses that sting the worst are those decisions that you feel, and that a lot of people feel that you should have won, which would have really changed the story of your legacy completely, unfortunately. Those razor thin ones are tough, but I mean, I'm not the only guy that has been subject to bad judging, or at least I think so. So, it kind of goes across the board in this sport, unfortunately. And again, it's like another thing he's got to learn from. It's life ain't easy, and you're gonna get thrown a lot of shit you don't want to deal with, or a lot of shit you don't like, but you can't stay down. You just gotta keep moving forward. Great attitude. Frankie, I got one more question for you. You mentioned earlier about New Jersey being, one of the places, and of course, New York City was declared ground zero for COVID. But if we turn on the news, especially, like a month or so ago, there's so much craziness going on in the streets, especially in New York City, and New Jersey got pretty crazy. I'm just wondering, what's it look like out there where you're at?
Honestly, where I'm at, man, I'm on the Jersey Shore. Everything's peachy keen by us, bro. I don't get involved too much in that craziness, and I just make sure my family's safe, and I'm worrying about my duties as a family man and as a fighter, and that's it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Edgar. We will see both of y'all gentlemen this Saturday, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Our last question is from Augusto Niesque with Somos MMA.
Hi, Frankie. How are you? How are you doing?
Good, man. You?
Fine, thank you. Frankie, taking into account that this fight was booked, I think, almost 4 times all over the year, could we say that the camp for this fight was your longest training camp ever?
It definitely feels like it. Started, supposed to fight a month ago, so it pretty much add 5 weeks to 8 weeks. What was that, 13? I'm not good at math. So yeah, 13 weeks. I have done 12 weeks in the past, but yeah, this is definitely the longest camp, and I'm excited. I'm excited to finally, put all this work, to play on Saturday.
And did all this rescheduling affect your preparation?
No, it didn't. I mean, the hiccups kind of sucked. My weight was pretty close in July, but I went home, took a week off, let my body rest, and gained a bunch of weight, and then once we're back to it, I got squared away. I got I got pretty much refocused, and it was to me it's a blessing in disguise. I was able to prepare more, kind of fine tune things. Like I said, I was able to know that I could get close to the weight class without really feeling too depleted.
Okay, and Frankie, taking into account your experience and considering the COVID-19 context, how are you adapting to all these new things in this fight week?
yeah, I mean, you know, adapting like we're all in the same boat, right? So I got to do it. My opponent's got to do it. Everybody in the car's got to do it. So I'm just rolling with the punches. You know, I'm not letting anything really affect me. It's new. It kind of makes fight week a little more refreshing, I guess, in a sense, because you know I've never done it this way. You know, I've been fighting for a long time. Shit can get kind of redundant, but this is all new to me. So I'm looking at it that way.
And which kind of fight do you imagine for Saturday? Did you change anything from your last fights?
I mean, I just always try to improve my skills. You know, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to push the pace hard. Training went well. My conditioning feels great. So I'm just going to be a typical Frankie Edgar fight. I'm going to get in his face and push it from bell to bell.
Okay, and my last one. What's your analysis of the bantamweight division? What do you bring to the division, and how do you think you could place yourself in there?
Yeah, I think this division is the hottest division right now. A lot of great young kids, a lot of great, you know, former champions and whatnot. And yeah, I think I could compete in any weight class that I choose to. And I'm in bantamweight right now, and I'm gonna go make some noise on Saturday and put myself right in the mix.
Great, Frankie. Thank you very much, and good luck on Saturday.
That's all we have for you today, Frankie. Thank you.
I
thought he said last question.
This concludes the UFC Fight Night Munhoz versus Edgar Virtual Media Day. We would like to thank everyone for joining today's event. UFC Fight Night Munhoz versus